What if SCIZOR was in Gen 1 OU? Now I know it's taken me a while to finally cover a very, very popular Pokemon. I think the reason for why is just because it only learns normal moves and wing attack, which I will admit is probably not the best reason, because SCIZOR is still really interesting. And despite it not really having any coverage, despite a very, very, very weak flying move, I still feel like this guy would be really good. He would be very similar to when I did King Gambit. Not only are both steel types, but both just have enough bulk and have enough attack with sword stance to where they can absolutely nuke everything once they set up. And because of how great their typings are, it's not that hard to set up in the first place. Now, this probably doesn't need to be said, but resisting Psychic, Ice, and Normal is a pretty big deal. And with 100 defense and your bug typing giving you a neutrality to Earthquake, you basically take all physical moves really well. Because what else is there? There's Flying, which you tank pretty well. There's Rock, you also do a great job against. You're just immune to Poison. You're immune to Ghost, or not immune, you resist Ghost. Not like Lick was a big threat to you anyways. And I think that's all of them. If there's any other physical types other than Bug, which again doesn't really count, let me know. But I guess it is worth noting that Beedrill's Twin Needle, even though you're a steel type, I believe there is a chance it can still poison you. So if SCIZOR somehow drops all the way to 7U, you'll have to look out for that. But I'm assuming you'll be fine. Its attack stat is also good. I don't think I need to explain that. And also, get ready for the meme again, but this guy becomes the new best sword stance user in Gen 1 OU. Unfortunately, this guy probably just makes Hitsuru's any relevance whatsoever. And I believe it's not even on the current Gen 1 viability rankings, which is super sad. But, you know, you're replacing Bug type for a better one, so I say it's probably fine. Now, the one thing that does really suck, though, is its speed. Because base 65 speed isn't inherently bad. You outspeed Executor, Chansy, Snorlax, Rydon, Slowbro. But my god, does it hurt so much that you're slower than Cloyster. You have no idea how annoying that is. Just the fact that Cloyster can always clamp walk you. And the fact that it's using its special, meaning that it targets your special defense. Well, 80 isn't bad. It kinda is bad when Cloyster most of the time is just gonna trap you. So that's really unfortunate. But it's not the worst thing in the world. Because for everything that isn't Cloyster, Rydon, or Gengar, Sword Stance with Hyper Beam and Slash does insane damage. Now you might think to yourself, why would you use Sword Stance if you're only using Hyper Beam? Because isn't Slash an auto crit? And you would be correct. You need base 64 speed in order to have an auto crit, and SCIZOR just barely beats that. Which is great. But doesn't really have any other better moves. There's Double Edge, sure, but I think you would rather just go for an auto crit with Slash, since you won't even need Hyper Beam or just a Sword Stance boost in order to do like that much damage. Does a lot. You have Light Screen and you have... Do you not have Reflect? I think you don't have Reflect. That's weird. Either way, you have Light Screen, but like, you don't really need that for Ice or Psychic moves. Not to mention, Rest is also maybe good, but this guy's definitely built to be a setup sweeper anyways. You can maybe use Wing Attack for coverage, but spoiler alert, it does not do that much damage, even the Eggy. So I think Agility is just so much better, because Agility allows you to, for the most part, beat Paralysis. You outspeed everything, and with a Sword Stance and Agility, Hyper Beam is a threat to almost everything in the format, and then Slash is always just good damage. It's usually a 3-hit or 2-hit KO on pretty much everything in the format, which, as you can imagine, can have its uses. Now, here's the big question we need to answer. Is SCIZOR better than SCIZOR? Yes it is. Okay, moving on to the replays. Starting off with the boy himself, Tauros. And when you resist Tauros' stab, it's really easy for you to pivot in, which is great. It's not like Earthquake does that much more damage. So ironically enough, against Tauros of all things, SCIZOR has no problem standing up, which is cool. A critical Earthquake might be annoying, but you can even survive 2 of those, so you're good. Now obviously Tauros can spec and go sending in the Fire Blast, and Fire Blast is really deadly. I didn't bother going over that as a weakness, because outside of Tauros it's not going to matter too much. And I know you might be saying like, or you're probably waiting for me to bring up Moltres, but not really. And that's because you're literally every single time they have a Moltres, you're switching out. So your weakness to Fire Blast does not matter unless they won the game. Fire Blast weakness is only relevant for Tauros, because it's the only Pokemon that might have it, and the only Pokemon not guaranteed to have it. Which I would say is extremely manageable. Now, I didn't bother going over Amnesia Lax or Reflect Lax, because with Slash, you just beat both of them very easily. Snorlax can't set up on you in time. And physical sets also really struggle against you. In fact, now that I'm rewatching this, I think it might be good to put Snorlax in great matchup. Which is crazy, because you have things like really high attack, and you have, I guess, rest and self-destruct. But I'm pretty confident SCIZOR can take those very easily. Now Chansy is probably even better, albeit a bit riskier depending on the moveset. Again, you do not need to worry about Reflect at all, nor do you really care about Paralysis. But that was funny. That little tech move Chansey had there, that's like the one thing you do need to look out for Chansey though. Some Chanseys might run counter, which could be really good against SCIZOR, because Slash is a 2-hit KO, so SCIZOR can just die. But at the same time, if SCIZOR goes for a Sword Stance instead, you just wasted your Chansey. So no matter what, I think it's just a great matchup for SCIZOR. It just has more going for it. And the same can go for Alakazam. It can technically harm you with Seismic Toss, but getting that off is extremely hard to set off. And with Agility, you outspeed Zam, even with Paralysis. So there's just not much Zam can do here. But it makes sense. And for Cloyster, the biggest thing that SCIZOR needs to do is try to go for Agility to be faster. But even with it being faster, Cloyster's defense is just so high that SCIZOR just struggles immensely. There's not much it can really do here. Outside of trying to go for some slashes, a Cloyster can rest, and going for Sword Stance in front of a Cloyster is very risky, and potentially can just not even be that useful, because it's not like Sword Stance will boost Slash in any way. And Hyper Beam, it might work, but you're kind of screwed if it doesn't. So just a bad matchup no matter what. Unless the Cloyster's paralyzed, I guess. And Executor. Slash is a 3-hit KO. And one thing I will say is that SCIZOR, it's one of those Pokemon that doesn't care too much about sleep. And that's because of just how good it is defensively. Being a Steel Bug type that resists the 3 most common types in the game, including 2 of those being special types, and just not being scared of any physical type, this guy is great for pivoting. There are not many things that can threat it immediately, which is really good. Helps SCIZOR out a lot, sometimes even one-on-one against Executor. Now, I'm sure you're all wondering, how much does Wing Attack do if you get Sword Stance up? And I'm really glad you asked. Because obviously the matchup becomes even better if there's Sleep Claws active, which means Wing Attack does about as much as Slash. Unfortunate, I must say. But maybe Wing Attack can be what helps you fight against Gengar. Isn't that right? Still, no. You're gonna see how much it does here, but you don't have Stab, so Wing Attack is just a 4-hit KO. If you think you can somehow beat Gengar like that, good luck, buddy. You're doing about as well as Seismic Toss Pinsir. GG. Now next off, we have Jolteon, and this is good, I would say. Obviously with agility, you outspeed. Slash is a 2-hit KO. The only things you might lose to are either 2 crits or just paralysis. Because even though you're faster, you still have the chance to just not move, which is very annoying. But to be honest, I don't think Jolteon would waste itself fighting SCIZOR anyways, unless the SCIZOR is low. And then Jinx completed Sleep, but unlike Executor, I would be more scared of Jinx. But I think that's just because Jinx just has a much better crit rate. That is a good special, but it has just can do more damage randomly over periods of time, which could be very dangerous. Not to mention with the freeze, that's also pretty spooky. But then again, SCIZOR does resist both of her stabs. So if there's already Pokemon put to sleep, you better believe SCIZOR absolutely dominates. Like, it's not even funny. But yeah, special drop there, sure. But SCIZOR doesn't really care. You can just go for an agility, become faster. And that was also with a crit. And even that only did half. I mean, just the 2 attacks in general, not just 1 psychic. If 1 critical psychic did about half of SCIZOR's health, that would change the matchup significantly. But for now, I'm fine with calling this a great matchup. Now, Rydon debatably was even harder than Gengar. That's just because even Wing Attack wouldn't do much here. In fact, one might even say it would be the worst thing to use against Rydon. But it's not like Sword Stance Hyper Beam does much better. So against Rydon, you might as well be using Wing Attack. Or respect Bubble Beam. Even though it's illegal, you should do that, it's funny. Now Swellbro, to my surprise, this is kind of a could go either way. Paralysis is annoying, but you could always agility or just ignore it for the time being. But Surf does a lot of damage, which is 1 amnesia boost. And Hyper Beam is not a guaranteed KO, even with 2 Sword Stance. Which is very unfortunate. And I forgot to check, but I don't think I need to. I'm very confident in saying SCIZOR with 2 Sword Stance already puts it in 999 attack. Only 2 more Pokemon left. How do you think SCIZOR's going to do? They're both special attackers with great crit rates. The first one's Starmie, which I think you do a little bit better against. You can go for Sword Stance. Depending on the set, if it's like Psychic or Blizzard, Starmie flat out might not have a way to even hurt it. But Thunderbolt can be annoying. But I'm gonna say if you're losing to Starmie, it's more so because of crits or more likely paralysis, rather than Starmie just having the longevity to take you on. So it's a could go either way, but one that's more so in SCIZOR's favor. And the same can also be said for Zapdos, but for the opposite reasons. And by that I mean, this is that could go either way, but more so in Zapdos' favor. With Slash, both you and Zapdos 3-hit KO each other, but not only does Zapdos not need to set up, not only does Zapdos have a better crit rate, but just paralysis being paralysis means sometimes you can't move at all, and if that happens, you're screwed. So here is the tier list, and it's really good, I would say. There's only 3 Pokemon you really need to watch out for, and then 4 that you need to be careful for, but you might be able to beat. And then you just got some that are just really great. And I think Snorlax does me put in great matchups, to be honest. Overall, just a really cool Pokemon. I actually think it's nice that even in the older gens, like 2 and 3, and I guess now Gen 1, SCIZOR still has some very good merit. It can be pretty good, even without Bullet Punch or Technician. You'll have to see it. What do you think? Do you think SCIZOR would be a great Pokemon? Do you think it would be OU? Or do you think not being able to hurt Rydon or Gengar would mean it would be underused? I seriously doubt it. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. And until next time, this is Groundback, and I look forward to hearing from you.